Alright, this is Francisco. Welcome everybody to my channel for this educational video. So I always try to find the truth. And studying the Bible and history has led me to a different perspective on history, which doesn't really go against history and artifacts, but does go against the mainstream ideology of what had happened. A lot of this is because they don't want you to understand. Just like anything in life, when you understand something, you can be the best at it. You can be your best at it. You could perfect it. You could add to it, expand upon it. All of these things we cannot attain if we do not understand. So that's why there are the authors of confusion alongside the creator who empowers the confusion. But it's only because we do not take it upon our time to learn and to apply the basic laws of existence, like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet thy neighbors. These things are basic laws in life that we believe is some fairy tale nonsense that we have no business paying attention to. And at the same time, on the other hand, we grumble about society and about our communities and our families. So we have to understand that it directly correlates with us not understanding and not believing in our culture, history, and the Bible, with what we are faced with today in our society. Before I go on a main rant, through studying, I found through the Septuagint many named people groups, people names, and throughout studying America and the different people that have been throughout America and throughout the world, I connected the people from this Bible to the people existing today, and and through the King James Version you can do this a little bit, but it's been so manipulated that the names are screwed and coveted. Proxy nations are who you believe these nations are. So through my studies, the people from Africa, who I believe to be Chamanites, bred a people called the Canaanites, and these Canaanites bred a group of people, and they had left Africa, and these people are believed to be the Hindu, Indian people, the Arab people, the Arabic people, and also the Asian people, amongst other people. But those are the big people groups that are connected with this ancestry. Pretty much majority of the stringy hair people. And then you can see later on how they end up creating races through whatever mixing they did, and they created. That's why you see the Aryans and the Europeans in America. We know them as Europeans and Aryans, but they're actually classified as Indo-Aryans, Indo-Europeans. We gotta understand that in history they were created from and what kind of breeding they were doing in India and through the Caucasus region. All throughout that region, the breeding they did created this Indo-Aryan, Indo-European. That's the blonde. And then what happened was other breeding with Afro people had created the Caucasus we know today, with the dark hair and the green eyes, or the brown eyes. That's from mixing with Afro people. So what I'm trying to say is that the Canaanite people are the Arabs we know today, or the Indo-Aryans, the Indo-Europeans, the Asians, the Indian people from India. All these people constitute this grand nation that had left Africa. And they even started the Catholic Church. So you got all these players in a grand history that is being hanged and dangled in front of our eyes, but we're blind to see it because we have a veil. And as long as you don't read, that veil will never be removed. Believe me, man, I was in some foolish stuff. I had thought so many different ways of history. All of them had their little sense, but it still was confusion. Now I'm understanding why, how, and what. So let's get into this video.
St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna is considered to be one of the most important Catholic cathedrals in Europe. No wonder that in this 16th century map of the city, which is kept in the main historic museum in Vienna today, the cathedral is depicted as the very center of the city. But if we pay close attention to the image, we will see that on the top of this Christian cathedral stands, very well visible, so-called Islamic symbol. According to this Caligari version of history, the Ottomans sieged Vienna a few times, but never managed to really conquer it. Now let's look at another medieval engraving where the actual siege of Vienna is depicted.
Alright, so our whole lives we have watched movies, and everything we've been told is that anciently Islam and Christianity battled together. And so all these wars and history were actually just pretty much between these two people, these two groups, Islam and Christianity. What we don't understand was that's not true. There are other people groups like the Israelites, like the Edomites, all these other groups. But what I'm trying to say is that they did that on purpose so you wouldn't know that those two groups, the Christians and the Islam, that they were actually one of the same, and Islam was created out of Christianity and Catholic, and they actually had the same beliefs under a different order, and they worked together all the way to the more modern times. But mostly they've always been partnered together, and they're actually created to go war against the Israelites and other sects, as you can see in the creation of the Prophet Muhammad, how the Vatican created Islam.
I'm surprised on the flags of the attacking so-called Muslims. We see Christian cross, and not one but a few of them, along with the Muslim crescent symbol. This very crescent symbol that used to stand on the top of the cathedral for centuries is now carefully kept in the...
See, this crescent symbol is actually their symbol for centuries that they have removed so that you wouldn't identify them as being part of Islam. See, goes back to ancient religion from these people who had left Africa. They were called the Canaanites. They were sun worshipping, and they worshipped Jupiter and Venus, and all they did was convert their ancient beliefs into Catholic and Christianity. These things have nothing directly to do with the Hebrew religion and culture. They they're synonymous. They're in similar timelines with a similar pattern but distinct sounds, because they came from the original and they branched off from the original. It doesn't mean the Arabic is the original. It's a branch from the original, which was of a Hebrew form. And then all this Phoenician, Hebrew, and Arabic, these languages took on slight differences, especially in sounds, but they're similar. But they're the ones who promoted sun worship.
Museum of this very same cathedral. All other artifacts have proper description and very detailed information.
Look, the cross. Look at the eagle, or the phoenix. Phoenix. They're all synonymous with those people groups.
Available for about almost anything else, including full history of the tiling of the floors, while obscure, unimportant artifacts were exhibited at prominent places. The very emblem of their cathedral is...
Did you see that checkerboard pattern? It turned like a diamond. Even diamond. All these things are just symbols that they use in their occult rituals. These are the people who created the occult rituals, the Freemason occult rituals.
To stand in the most obscure dark corner without any inscription even for a long time. It looked very awkward. On one side, the history books tell people that Vienna was never taken by any Ottomans, and yet for a long time their most important Christian cathedral had the Muslim side on the top of it. Some 10-15 years ago, when the project of the new chronology started getting popular, the people heard about this, and when they were visiting this museum in Vienna, they started...
So do you see there? They all trying to stop the knowledge from spreading of how they are related. So they always say that no, this didn't happen, no. But you know that they're lying. You know a liar when you hear a liar.
Asking, what is this? How come this the symbol of the enemy on the top of your most important cathedral?
No.
Since the public was asking more and more often, the management of the museum started coming up with various explanations. Various stupid explanation labels started appearing. This is one of them. Somebody took a photo of the actual museum tag, that the Kaiser and the King are the stars and the moon, and everything is just an innocent symbol. What symbol of the Mother, Father, the Moon, and the Kaiser? Suleiman, that's what it's written on the artifact itself. Maybe the story with the Kaiser on the moon and the Father on the sun, or whatever, didn't work very well because people reported few other equally silly explanations put on tags over there in the museum. Apparently they changed them as people start laughing. And they will continue coming up with new and new joke stories forever, until there are people to believe them. And such blind believers seem to be plentiful still. Most of the people accept for a pure coin what they read in the official texts forever, until there are people to believe them. And such blind believers seem to be plentiful still. Most of the people accept. Believers seem to be plentiful still. Believers seem to be plentiful still. Most of the people accept for a pure coin, what they read in the official textbooks of history, which indoctrinate people to believe that people were always fighting, blinded by religious fanatism. People mostly believe in these fairy tales of violence for a pure coin, what they read history, which indoctrinate people to believe that people were always fighting, blinded by religious fanatism. People to believe that people were always fighting, blinded by religious fanatism. To believe that people were always fighting, blinded by religious fanatism. People mostly believe in these fairy tales of violence instead of believing the artifacts which show that in those faraway times, these two religions, or actually maybe they were just two divisions, two branches of the same faith, they coexisted absolutely peacefully. Branches of the same faith, branches of the same, just two divisions, two branches of the same faith, just two divisions, two branches of the same faith, they coexisted absolutely peacefully. Hundreds of artifacts are here to testify.
Hundreds of artifacts.
And
Do you
the main
hear
symbols
her?
of these religions are not so religious in the way we are accustomed to think about it. Actually, they were inherited from the previous beliefs before that, and they were always symbols of those who are on the side. We are accustomed to think about it. Actually, they were inherited from the previous beliefs. And they were always symbols of those who are on the side of the goodness, the pious
Christianity
and
and Catholicism is the biggest pagan religions ever. The biggest pagan religions ever.
The attributes of the Russian tsars, kings, and emperors have Arabic inscriptions on them. It's also all over their thrones and other belongings. This doesn't look good for those who preach the modern mainstream history. That's why when they had to take photos, for example, for school books, they would always take them from an angle from which such inscriptions would not be clearly visible. The team of the new chronology started raising the question of these Arabic writings. Lie was quickly coined in a desperate attempt to find some sort of explanation. The lie was that since the Russians did not have knowledge how to make their own weapons, they had them ordered in other locations like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and many others. How could Saudi Arabia, that did not have any mining at all developed, or any factories, big-scale factories to manufacture such things, supply the full Russian army? Moreover, such explanations contradict other historic records because in various countries in Asia there are gifts of similar weapons that the rulers have received from the Russians. At that time, the industry in Russia was well developed. There was a lot of mining and a lot of factories manufacturing such sophisticated items. Moreover, on these weapons that are supposedly made in Islamic countries, there are plenty of depictions of human figures, and this is just one of the many examples of so-called Islamic helmets that are full of figures of people and animals. Such depictions are not allowed in Islam. Russia, the Christian country, was manufacturing items with Arabic inscriptions, and not only weapons. Some luxury items that were definitely made in Russia also have Arabic inscriptions, and side by side with these quotes from the Quran in some cases, there are purely Christian writings. The official explanation of Cyrillic writing right next to the Arabic is that the weaponry was received as a gift from the Muslims, but then the Christians added their own next to it. However, the team of the new chronology debunked this lie as well with the fact that in some cases the Russian Cyrillic writing was cast in such a way that it was obviously present at the time the weapon was originally made and could not have been added at a later stage. And I mean, all this explanation that even the kings were wearing Arabic inscriptions, considering them as elements of flowers.
So you understand, all these flowers and all these different things are Arabic origin, from the Canaanite people who went through leprosy and genetic mutations and left Africa in ancient times and spread throughout the world. This is them. The stringy-haired people.
Without understanding them is quite stupid. If Christians and Muslims were really bitter enemies, as the followers of Scaliger were trying to convince us, then I personally simply cannot believe it that the king would wear inscriptions on the Quran on his own head, right on the forehead. And what were the Ottomans doing at the same time? I would like to read to you what a 19th century mainstream German historians write. Although they are trying to find some sort of awkward explanation to these facts within the scope of the Scaliger version, still the very facts that they present are very interesting. Islamic rulers belonging to the dynasty of Dashimet of Cappadocia, minting coins depicting Jesus Christ. Some of them had the special Christian Gigliati cross, the one you can see on the screen. It seems, continue the historians, that they were just imitating the coins of the European kings that you see now on the screen, without understanding the meaning of these images. The quote continues, "It seems other rulers of Asia Minor didn't want to be left behind. That is why they were also minting coins on which these fanatic Muslim rulers depicted themselves with European crowns on their heads, with European daggers, and decorating them. Seems, continue the historians, that they were just imitating the coins of the European kings that you see now on the screen, without understanding the meaning of these images." The quote continues, "It seems other rulers of Asia Minor didn't want to be left behind. That is why they were also minting coins.
They're all the same people.
These fanatic Muslim rulers depicted themselves with European crowns on their heads, with European daggers, and decorating themselves with Christian cross. All this must have been done by the unexperienced workers in the mints, who did not understand what are they depicting because they didn't know Latin." So what's going on here? Christians with Muslim symbols, Muslims with Christian symbols? I think the answer is that the history suggested by the New Chronology Project corresponds much better to the historic artifacts, and that means that there was one single culture in which Christianity and Islam were coexisting absolutely peacefully, and they were in a peaceful symbiosis, so to say. Artificial separation and religious fanatism were instituted later on by fraudulent history with the only purpose to divide and conquer. And they were in a peaceful symbiosis, so to say. Artificial separation and religious fanatism were instituted later on by fraudulent history with the only purpose to divide and conquer. Absolutely peacefully, and they were in a peaceful symbiosis